Since in our observable universe we can only perceive actions which results in the observation of diverse colors, sound, taste, touch, smell, etc. But we 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 have an urge to explain or describe what we observe, that is the actions surrounding us. And since we are explaining those actions, the explanation will need some assumption because we need to introduce something in order to explain that action. That introduces the language and the letters, the writing systems, all sorts of things are there. Those are the topic of discussion which we can deal with later. But right now, just go step by step. The simple facts in front of us. So any explanation in by using philosophy or science, the whole process of explanation can be called as the information, right? Because we take note of the process which describes uh, an action that we intend to describe, and those whole thing is called the information. So basically, we create information. There is no information. We introduce certain explanation, and that is basically known as information. So, for example, the quenching of the fire by water. So this is an action that we observe. When there is fire, we throw water. If the water amount is sufficient, the fire will be quenched. Now, if we try to explain step by step what are the things that is happening, the first thing is the objectification of these two different objects. That is, one is the water, another is the fire. So, based on the different sense perceptions like color, touch, taste, etc., we objectify these two objects. One is water, another is fire. So these two are the from the principal categories of objects which are used to describe the universe. That is the solid, liquid, gas, water, solid, liquid, gas, fire, and space. So the first thing is the objectification of these two objects or these two actions that we see. These two items or these two objects are basically actions that we perceive, because any object is basically action, which is described by us as the interaction between the energy and the object. Both energy and object cannot be known. What we can observe is the action only. So let's so these two are introduced by us, water and fire. Then comes the energy, which is also introduced, a concept. We will never know what energy is. What we can see or perceive by any instrument or by our sense organs is the action which is observable. To explain that action, we introduce the term energy, and what we are perceiving based on the diverse sense perception, we call them as different objects, right? It's very simple. So this fire has different color, the water has different color. That's why we are helpless, but to assign them as two different objects. It's simple. Then comes the color aspect, and for describing the action of color, we introduce the concept of light as a form of energy. We don't know what light is, but we definitely know that there is something which is causing different colors of different objects. So that is there. But the whole concept of light is introduced by us, and how that light is interacting with any object through absorption, emission process, or reflection. They are also actions which we have um, introduced. I mean, based on our different frame of references that we have also introduced. So this is like assumption after assumption after assumption. Okay, so these are the facts. We only perceive the color. We only perceive the color. To explain the color, the origin of the color, we are introducing different concepts, different frame of references, different terms. So this is clear, right? There is no belief or any sort of assumption. This is fact. You dig deep, you will find there is all assumptions. Okay. But those assumptions are helpful. They can be helpful in mimicking the same sort of actions for our benefit, let's say. Okay. Their composition, that is more in molecular level or in atomic level or any subatomic level, what are the composition, those also introduced by us, because we we term those concepts or those nomenclature, that is the atom, the molecule, this and that, etc., based on the actions. So there is also, when someone try to see any phenomena, subatomic phenomena, by introducing spectroscopy or any sort of instrumentation, what they will see or they will observe is action only. Based on those actions, they are assigning that this is called a molecule, this is called a atom, or this is the subatomic particles. So those what is observable is actions only. But they are saying, or we are saying, that there has to be some atom or there has to be some molecule which is exhibiting those actions when they are interacting with energy. So you see, there is the object which we can never know, there is the energy which we can never know. What we can know is the interaction between them, that is the action, whether we are watching them through our eyes or through the lens of an instrument, microscope, whatever. So this is also the compositions also explained by us or introduced by us, which is also again assumption or introduction of new ideas or concepts or terminology, let's say. Uh, yeah, and if someone note down the different processes of quenching this fire by putting water on top of it, then it will be like a one page or two-page document summarizing all the steps that is essential, the scientific facts. Facts means the assumptions, uh, all those release of energy, the combustion energy, all those things. So those are all the descriptions. Uh, I mean, anything, any term, anything that we are summarizing in that document or in the document or process, everything will be introduced or superimposed by superimposition is basically introduction of ideas or causes to explain certain action in the universe. So the whole process will be nothing but a pile of superimposition of different concepts like energy, object, language, letters, alphabets, everything. So all those things are created by us. They didn't exist. We created them in order to explain some actions which are unexplainable by anyone. Okay, so this is a fact, but those are useful for our day-to-day life. Mm, whether those are useful or not, those are real or not, that we will discuss. But right now, just look at the facts that is in front of our eyes. That will clear a lot of ambiguity, and that will bring a lot of clarity to see any object as it is. Okay, as we just discussed, those imaginary concepts helps us in mimicking different actions which are related because they are similar types. Like we can use the action of burning a hydrocarbon or using water for certain purposes. We can mimic those things in different scenarios which should be related in some degrees. So that's the usage of noting down or writing down the whole process of any action. Although the whole process or the whole description or explanation will be imaginary, but those imagination is very useful because we can mimic those actions by using them. And this the whole process of superimposition is very, very useful for knowing the higher level of reality, which indeed is the only way to know the origin by knowing ourselves. We have to know ourselves in order to know everything. Just remember, any concept or any belief is superimposed. If you don't know by yourself, you don't know anything. Everything is belief. And when you know that everything is belief by observing everything as it is, that is the breakthrough that one human being achieves in his lifetime. And that is the goal for all of us. Just looking everything as it is and get rid of the burden of all the falsity or superimposition. It's not like your mind will go blank, but you will feel what it is. And this is the most exciting or most joyful thing that can happen to the humanity. Okay. So all these things from 1 to 7, or maybe you can include more other points. So this is called as the information. So you can see that all these things are introduced by us, all those concepts, those terminology, to write down the invention of language, alphabets, writing systems, all the things we created, which is basically unreal, because we introduced those things. We introduced the term water to denote an object which is distinct from other objects in terms of sense perception. We introduced the term fire to denote a specific object. Like that, we introduced all those terms. We introduced energy, which is unreal, but to explain certain actions, we introduced it as a cause. So like that, we introduced the whole universe for us on top of the actual existence. You see the problem? So there is the real universe, which is free of all sorts of notion, all sorts of objectification, discontinuity. It is a unit. It's a unit, unity, whole thing, but we are we are objectifying it through superimposition, and each one has their own superimposition. So we all have our own universes. That's a very interesting thing, and when someone starts knowing it, that's a breakthrough, and it is the most desired thing that can happen with someone.